Vlogtober day number 6. Today is sweet treats and I'm going to be making fry pies. The recipe actually comes from this cookbook, which is amazing. It's a pretty easy recipe actually. I really like this recipe, and as long as you follow the instructions, it's a breeze to get through. So for this recipe, you're going to need some all-purpose flour. I'm using Heckers. You're also going to want a large bowl to mix the ingredients with. Measuring items are a must, so make sure to have them at the ready. You're going to need sugar, and I'm using Domino's. Definitely some baking soda. Arm & Hammer is a great brand of baking soda. Some salt, 2 large eggs, some evaporated milk, 13 fluid ounces to be exact, and of course some pie filling. You're going to need some lard, aka shortening for frying. I chose Crisco's baking sticks. So for the 2 large eggs, they actually want them lightly beaten. So I'm going to crack them open and start to lightly beat them, which is basically just whisking them in light strokes a couple times. Alright, so the first step is to add the 5 cups of flour to your large bowl. After you've added your flour, now it's time to add the baking soda. You're going to need 1 teaspoon of baking soda. The next step is to add the salt. You're going to need 1 full teaspoon of salt. Next is the sugar. You're also going to need 1 teaspoon of sugar. Alright, in a separate bowl, you're going to bring together the 2 large, slightly beaten eggs and the 13 fluid ounces of evaporated milk. Step is to add the shortening. You're going to need 1 cup of shortening. Luckily, mine came pre-measured. Now you're going to mix all the ingredients into the large bowl using a fork just until it holds together and no more. Alright, so the next step is going to be rolling out the dough. You're going to need a wide space, and you're going to have to lay down a bed of flour before rolling out the dough. Be sure to add a lot of flour to whatever surface you are using. You want to add a lot of flour so that when you're rolling out the dough, it doesn't stick to the surface. It gets very messy and it's a pain to try and scrape the dough out of whatever surface you're using. Alright, I want to stop myself right here. Does anyone know what I'm doing wrong? If you guessed that I forgot to flour my utensils, you're correct. Always remember to flour the utensils you're using, especially when you're dealing with sticky dough, because you do not want the dough to get stuck to the utensil. Again, it's a big pain in the butt to try and take the dough off. Roll out the dough until it's rather thin. After you rolled your dough nice and thin, you're going to want to use a utensil to cut out the circular shapes that you're going to use for the patties. Now, what I used is actually the end of the butter tin. And the reason that I use this is because I didn't have any circular utensils on hand, like a cookie cutter or anything of the sort. If you have any of those utensils, you can use them to cut out circular shapes within the dough. After you've got no more dough left, it's time to start adding the fillings. Alright, so I'm going to start with some cherry filling. You want to fill your spoon up at least half of the spoon. You don't want to add as much as I'm adding right now. It's actually a little too much what I'm adding. But add about half a spoon of filling, leaving a bit of space around the edges. After you've added your filling, fold down the edge of the patty to the other edge of the patty. You're going to want to use a fork or something to kind of seal the patties together. You're going to want to make sure that these patties are sealed really well, because while frying they will pop open and it'll just be a mess. A little tip for your filling: make sure your filling is fairly thick and cold, or it will run as you're trying to fill patties. Okay, after you've made all your patties, you're going to want to heat the shortening in a deep pan to a depth of 2 inches until scorching hot. Be sure to turn the stove on high. For my pan, I added 2 cups of shortening. When the shortening is nice and hot, it's time to fry the pies. Add them carefully into the pan as it will be extremely hot. Allow the pies to heat for 2 minutes on each side, or until they turn golden brown. Be sure to have a plate ready for the pies after they are fried. I placed a paper towel on my plate to catch the leftover shortening oils. After the pies have been fried, allow them to cool for 5 to 10 minutes. I added some powdered sugar while hot to give them an added sweet taste. After allowing to cool, your pies are now done. Enjoy! Note, these pies are kind of on the eat only once a year side, but boy are they tasty. You can also make your own filling if you would prefer. Hope you liked the recipe, and thanks so much for watching.